Good evening. Welcome to our Tuesday. Who have we got? We've got Fragilities, I'm guessing. That is your username. Thank you so much for the follow right off the bat. Oh my goodness, you came in at like right the right time. I do have rather sad news. I have had to remove Hello Darkness because I tried to upload a VOD to YouTube and YouTube was like, nah, that's copyright. And I was like, you know what? You're right. So we're just going to take it off the sound alerts. So Hello Darkness is no longer on the sound alerts. I'm sorry to say. I appreciate those of you who have used it, but I had to take it down. I'm real sorry. I also removed, just out of an abundance of caution, some of the 80s sound alerts that I had, including a whale. I'm very sad about that. It's just how these things work sometimes. Oh, we're gonna get our ready up. It's Stardew night, y'all. Here we are. We are here for Stardew, and it's gonna be great. Goals tonight for Stardew are just hanging out and figuring some things out, because I don't know. I might have to get a mill. I don't know. I don't know. We're gonna figure some stuff out. It's gonna be okay though. So, here we go. We're gonna roll with our Stardew for the night. I'm gonna duck. Maybe not that much. Yeah, there we go, maybe. There we go. Oh, I moved that. That could be, actually, that's probably better for this game too. I moved that last night for Animal Crossing, and this might be a better spot. We'll figure it out. It's gonna be okay. All right, here we go. Bergamot Vineyards. Just drinking some white tea with jasmine in my lovely hurricane mug. Nice and wide at the bottom so you don't spill it all over your computer. Oh heck, I have a lot of crap in my pockets. What is happening? All right. Let's go put some stuff away. Just don't need. Okay. Don't need any of that ish. Here we go. I got butterflies. Look how pretty. Oh wait, this one. This one, because I gotta put away. I have a lot of geodes. I should probably take those over to get processed, because I just don't need that much. Oh, we got some stuff ready to pop. Okay, it's been a week since we've been on the farm. I need to be doing grinding off stream, but I just have not. Clearing land and building stuff that, you know, nobody needs to see me build. Chicken. Oh, right, we have the ducks. We have 2 baby ducklings now. So exciting. Egg. Oh, okay, that's 4. I thought I was like miscounting there for a second, and I was very confused. We have ducks. I'm so excited about the ducks. Come outside and play, baby duckies. Come outside and play. Okay, here we go. There they go. Oh, your baby ducky, come right outside. Baby duckies. So cute. So freaking cute. All right, everybody out. Come on out. Come on out. All right. There we go. There we go. Okay. Cows. Good cows. And we got a good goat here too. Look at that. All right. Only 1 iridium milk. That's okay. Oh, and I milked Brie recently, so that's all right. Chèvre? How we doing, my girl? Chèvre has no milk right now. That's okay. Alright. Everybody enjoy your outside time. Be outside, doggos. Not even mad at it. It's just a bop. I'm gonna hang out here. Oh, wheat is done. Should do bigger thing of wheat. Next go. Not even mad. I'm not anywhere close to mad at it. Ooh. Love it. Love. You love to see it. You really do. I should off stream work on getting sprinklers installed because I know sprinklers will make my entire existence significantly easier. Nope, that's not gonna work. Oh well. That's okay. We have more coffee beans. Look at this. Look at this lovely little. I got more coffee beans. I'm so happy. Okay. I have to save some coffee beans for the winter because once we get that greenhouse rolling, it's gonna be over. It's gonna be over. No. Jamming. I need to get my Twitch, or I need to get my Spotify thing rolling for like playing tonight. That'd be good. Oh. These are my hops. Yes, I have a lot of hops for a, and I know I'm gonna have to get stuff figured out. Oh, wait, really quick. Okay, we need to give Harvey his pickles, and then it's Friday, so we'll get a boost for the week if we have both of them max gifts for the week. Should go and talk once we get done with this. Gonna go into town anyway to get wheat because we need to make das ales des winter, which good. Okay. Let go. Oh no, the flowers. Shoot, dang. This is where things get squiddly because I'm like, I don't even know. Okay, it's only the 5th of summer. Probably not gonna finish summer. I just realized it's the 5th of summer. Oh my goodness gracious. Look at this. It's like a real brewery or something. Look at that. Feeling fine. No. Make that milk into cheese. I'm gonna need more cows here real soon because oof. Okay. I know the coffee is not going to take very long, so we're gonna make rice 5 beans. Shoot dang. Okay. We got oh, look at all this. Look at all this. Okay. I'm gonna throw some grapes in there. And then we'll do two ales. Come on. Oh, that's hay. That's not wheat. Oh, silly me. Okay. I was like, why is it not going in the keg? It's because it's not the right stuff. That's why. Single gold. Star, that's... All right, I need to finish up here fast. I'm gonna move on. It's, you know, kind of like this is first day back for a week-long break. So this is where things get a little squiffy. I also know how to steer. Blackberry wine. Oh, those are grapes. Those are wild grapes. Never mind. Gonna need those. Gonna need those later. Gonna be good. I didn't get Harvey's present. Scheiße. Okay. It's okay. We still have tomorrow. We'll talk to him. Pierre! I'm gonna get 24 of those, and that should be shiny. Bye, beach! Oh, wait. How much is it? Hang on. I'm now getting distracted. How much is it to increase? Oh! Yeah, I'm gonna get that, because that would be good. And then I think that's the last backpack. Upgrade. Okay. He got me. He got me for 10 big ones. It's locked. Shoot. Where's he at? Where's he at? Okay. I'm gonna pull up both of our contenders here real quick. Friday. Returns to his home. Shoot. Friday was not the time to try and talk to him. Dang it. Okay, we can go... Woo, we can at least go talk to Leah. She's currently at the beach. And in the summer, that's where she likes to hang. So we'll go hang out with Leah at the beach, and that should be okay. Ooh, look at that. No? Am I wrong here? What's happening? No? Okay, what's happening? Hang on. Oh, wait. Friday, shoot. Star drop. She's at the star drop. She gets there at 4 to hang out with you. Okay, okay. Looking at the wrong schedule. Friday night star drop is a happening place. Hate to be blunt, but we don't treat nature with respect. Our grandchildren will be doomed. You're not wrong, my girl. I'm not gonna lie. Alright, I said hi. Okay. Shoot, Harvey is difficult because Friday I haven't increased my stuff enough to like go and talk to him in his clinic. So kind of a problem. Oh well, gonna go plant all of my wheat that I have snagged today. Ooh, come on. Oh, yikes. Okay, there we go. Oh. All right. Not bad for weight. Dato needs water. Summer. Dato very much needs water. Thank you. There we go. The bestest girl has her water. We are good to go. Need to go give her pets. Pets. Water. Good girl. She's bestest girl. Cannot ever deny Dato is bestest girl. Okay. Sell things before bed. Let's see what we got here. Okay, definitely gonna sell that stuff. I think I am. Oh. There we go. Not a gold star, thing of wine. Gonna sell it, not gonna keep it. Hopefully we can recoup from getting an inventory upgrade. You know, was it worth it? Only time will tell. Oop. Apologies if I look rough. Did a later workout than usual tonight, so I'm like, almost recouped enough enough to make it worth it. You know, we were close, and that's all that matters. Really quick, I'm gonna go swap out my tea bag and use the bathroom. So I am gonna go to a BRB screen real quick, but I will be back in just a second. So hang on. Okay. Oh, sorry about that. I'm back though. Later workout means I'm like drinking more water later, so then I have to go to the bathroom. Sean, welcome to the stream. Ooh, we got peppers growing. It's gonna be a fun Saturday. How? I mean, it's actually Tuesday, or IRL. How has your Tuesday been? At you. I can't English. It's fine. I don't see. Where's the other duckling? Oh no. Oh, hi. How is life treating you, Sean? How was you had to get up heckin' early, 5 a.m. phones. How was 5 a.m. phone? That sounds awful. Where did my other duckling go? Over here. So you're nope. I found it. Oh, found the invisible duckling. Okay. Stupid. That is stupid early. That is nope 30. Thank you. You can't pay me enough. I'm sorry. That sucks. Cow. Got the goat. Okay. I feel like. Oh, I keep saying this. Oh wait, no, I need to go get pig. No, I need a deluxe barn to get pigs. Means I need to be farming heckin' trees. They just crawled into bed. Oh my goodness. Well, you have all of my sympathies. That sounds awful. We're hanging out, listening to lo-fi music and enjoying, you know, being a farmer without actually having to do physical labor. So, you know. I feel like the chat on the side of the screen is not working for us. What am I doing? I'm gonna go ditch stuff into fermenters and then 6 shots of espresso. Oh, I know that feel. I have lived that. That is the worst. I mean, I guess that was more Black Friday at Apple. That was awful. But yeah, I've been there, I've done that. Do not miss it. Okay, more pickles. I'm actually doing pretty okay. Got my workout in, feeling pretty good, like about life in general, you know? Now we're just hanging out. Boys were so good today. Do you know how good my kids are? Oh my goodness, they're such like sweet kids. They just hung out and played together all day today. Like even Marky like he played Pokemon Unite, which is a single player game, for like an hour and a half with Rory just like cheering him on, and it was the freaking cutest thing ever of Rory just like cheering Marky on while he's taking on ranked battles. He's 6, taking on ranked battles, and I'm trying to teach him like basic MOBA techniques and stuff. He's not quite there because he's 6. He just wants to play, but he's like picking up on some stuff. He's so smart. And other than that, just hung out and did my own thing today while the boys played together. I love that. I love it when they just play together and they just let me do my own thing. I'm like, I'm just gonna be over here scheduling uploads to YouTube and designing stuff. This is so good. I love it when this happens. So it was a pretty good Tuesday. And even though my hubby stole my Red Bull, He still bought me a Red Bull. And he brought me 2 Red Bulls because he stole my Red Bull. He was like, I'm sorry, I'm very tired. I'm going to steal this, but I'm going to bring you 2 back in return. And I was like, okay. So he brought me 2 Red Bull when he got home from work, which was acceptable, I guess. And we ate a healthy dinner, and then the boys went to sleep. And everything was good. Pretty good kids, not gonna lie. Whoop. Shoot. Okay, I'm gonna have to play this fast. I might have to give up watering in the middle to go. Yeah, I'm actually gonna grab my pickles and then I'm gonna run. I don't know if I'm ever gonna get the fishing quests done in this game because the fishing in this game is so hard. They are so cool. Why are my kids so cool? It's awesome. In love. Ooh, the peppers. Okay, I'll figure out what to do with the peppers in a second. I gotta run. I gotta run town. Harvey. Saturday. Leave. Goes to the museum? Why? Okay. I guess I gotta go to the museum. Complicated weekly schedules. Bye, Haley. Bye, Haley. Oh, that's right. He's got that set up. Aha! Okay, hang on. Yay! Okay. Can I do anything for you? Oof. Oof, that's okay. Still only 1 heart for Harvey and then 2 for Leah. That's rough. That's rough right there. Okay, Saturday for Leah. Saturday. Sam's running the bookcase. Bookcase in her cottage. Okay. Okay, there we go. They have a pretty awesome mom. I mean, I'm only awesome on alternating Tuesdays. I don't know what you're talking about. I think they're pretty cool though. I'm biased though. I made them, so I have to think that they're cool. Okay, there's. Oh, is this a cutscene? Oh, heck. Oh, hi, Zoe. Come in. Oh, I'm actually gonna turn this down. Oh. No. I'm just working on this sculpture here. 0% true. Listen, come here. Watch this. We got a Leah cutscene. What's happening? See that? I'm revealing the essence of the wood. That's cool. Once you get past the outer layers, the true nature starts to show. Same with people. I actually prefer the look of raw, unaltered wood. I love how "may I have a kiss" is outlined with creepy. Because yes it is. I mean, it is the same with people. It just depends on how you get past those outer layers, I guess. What? Oh yeah, that's absolutely right. I don't know if that was good or bad. I first visited this valley as a little girl while on vacation with my parents. I wish I'd come back. I knew I had to come back someday. This place has great artistic potential. Oh. Although, I have to admit, it's not easy to pay bills as an artist. No, it's not. You know, I have an hour. I mean, that's my first inclination because hello, Etsy shop. Don't know if this is the right answer. We're gonna go for it anyway. I guess it's an idea, but I need a computer first. Oh. And again, that's expensive. I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Well, it was nice of you to visit. Okay. Whoops. Maybe a little whoops. Who the heck knows? Can I just... Hi, talking to you. Flowing water keeps my house a little cooler in the summer. Okay, that counts as a talk. Cool, cool. Getting like a little more somewhere with Leah because she's easier to find. Harvey's schedule is freaking hard. Interview too, Sean. Thanks for coming in and hanging out as long as you could. I appreciate it. That was an early morning for you, and that heckin' sucks. So, go sleep. Sleep is a valuable resource that is not to be wasted. Okay, gonna just... Gonna get... Gotta get my plants. Okay. Getting the last of these all watered. Oh, and then all the hops. Okay. The event with Leah, that works. Works for me. There's the hops. Planted those fairly early on, so they should be producing here pretty quick. All right. Cleanup time. No idea what I'm gonna do with this little patch over here. You know, might just be fishing ponds. Oops. Who the heck knows? We'll figure it out. It'll be good. Shoot. I've got more seeds, so that won't, it's not a huge loss. Still annoying. Okay, I'm gonna, do I need to plant more? See what we got going on. Might not need to plant more. Got a few things happening. Okay. Oh, got. Oh, shoot. Okay. clean some stuff up for the season because, hello, Frego. Need a lot of these materials. Nope. Hello, frogs. So many frogs. Love the frogs. Okay, gonna spend the rest of this evening just doing this, just getting stuff off. Clearing off stuff that just doesn't need to be here. Okay, not bad, not bad, not bad. Looking good, actually. Clear, doing okay. Clear, look at it. Got lots of common mushrooms, so we'll go put these in the fridge along with some peppers, and we'll figure out. It's Skippy Shania. Hello, or Shanina. Oh my goodness. What is happening? It's Crispy. Thank you so much for the raid and the host and the follow. Holy crap, Zola. Welcome. Welcome to my channel. I'm just an idiot on the internet who has no other marketable skills, and I would be up this late doing this anyway, so might as well hang out with some cool people. So if you want to hang out with me because you're weird, then you know. right, it's like, I don't know, I can do this, and then I can do nope, that's it, that's all I got. I have nothing else. So, you know, good time. How nice meeting you too. What were you streaming? I gotta know now. What's going on? Putting some stuff away because I gotta build some bigger stuff for reasons. Okay, got some fiber happening. Oh, Animal Crossing. I do Animal Crossings on Mondays. How obsessed are you with boba? Because I am so obsessed with boba right now. It's a little unhealthy. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Very obsessed with boba. Oh, level 8 foraging for the win. Yeah, seriously. Just like, the last sip is adorable. It's so cute. I love it. I love it all. I also love that it adds to you being able to like dig stuff up. So instead of consuming, you know, a valuable anything else, you can use your boba. Except I'm going to be using my boba to make a boba shop, excuse you, because you're gonna either give me Brewster or I'm gonna figure some other stuff out, okay? Like, I'm really just, I need caffeine. Even if it's virtual caffeine, it's still very important. Thank you. You know? Oh. It also just makes me really want, like, a boba tea. Or a boba coffee. Because the boba coffees? Whoa, heck. Whoa, heck. Okay, wait. Okay, there's one duckling. How long am I gonna have to hang out here before I can see the other duckling? No, there's no point in me hanging out here for too long because meh. Yeah, it's looking less and less likely by the minute. It's just like, but I want it though. It's okay. I'm gonna fix up my pirate core tropical fantastical island, and we'll see where things are. like. Still no milk from brie or chèvre. Nope. 2 days. It feels kind of weird because they were kind of banking on making this an updatable game for a while, and then it's like, nope, you don't get anything. I'm not gonna do fishing quests. Okay. Oh, Mr. Rock. Woo-wee. Okay, we got some stuff happening here. Pickles and ale and cheese. So much cheese to see it. Cheese. Whoop. Okay. Okay, there's 2 at the bottom. What we got going? We can do some ales. Thank you so much. Oh, hang on. Let me give you your shout out. We're gonna give you a shout out. Here we go. There it is. If you are not following It's Crispy Shanina, then you should go do that because they came in and rated, and that was awesome and is super cool. So go check them out. I am actually really quick. And there we go. Yay! Okay. Oh no. Oh no, I have double audio. Oh no, I have blah. There we go. Cuz I was on your channel. Okay. There we go. I fixed it. There was a moment of monetary panic. Momentary, not monetary. Good lord. Maybe monetary. Depends. Can you get a copyright strike for your own content? Probably. Who the heck knows? So thank you. Have a lovely evening. I appreciate you coming in and hanging out. Holy crapzola. That's honey. I need to go bring that to the place and stuff. Hang on, I'll be right back. I'll come back and water these, but I'm gonna bring this back to the community center. Okay. Okay, we're good. It's the artisan bundle. Wait, hang on. Hold up. How do I not? Okay, I don't have goat cheese over here, and I don't have regular cheese. We're just gonna dump the regular cheese in here. Cloth and truffle oil. No problem. Gonna get the rest of those done. I thought I had the goat cheese and the regular cheese over here. Apparently I did not. That's okay. Now I have the hiccups. It's fine. Okay. Clear that out. Don't need to other than just for the fiber. But you know, we got the fiber for it. Always good. Nope. Yeah, I can't get over there. Gonna go. Hi. Struggling to make ends meet. Don't have enough patience. Yep. Oh, wait, shoot. Where's Leah? Where's Leah? Monday, normal schedule. Oh, wait. Still working, we're grinding out these two. Okay, so there's the reset. Cool. Not Leah. Friday, Saturday, it's Sunday. Shoot. How's this wrong? What's happening here? There's Elliot. Hi. No. I came here to find Leah. Where'd she go? Where's she at? No? Okay, bye. Oh, wait, no, there she is! Came for the sound of the ocean. Beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. Pretty cool. Yeah, sure. Fountain at 12. Okay. A regular schedule for Harvey, and then Leah on Monday. Okay, so noon Monday should go out with both gifts. Go do that, or at least one set of gifts, and then I need to do something for the next day. So, or for wrong tool. Okay. Okay. Oops, I am not having luck with the targeting on this right now. Okay. Dang it. Okay, I can't no, I can't cancel if I hit E. That's annoying. Woo! Okay, got more coffee. Good. Whoops. Okay, now we're at the hops portion of the day. Nope, that's not what we wanted to do. Shoot. Nope. Hang on. Sorry about that. Thought I heard small child. Was not. Was just husband's phone being too loud. So, it's okay. Oh no. Hi, Chris. Thanks for the lurk. Hanging out. Just, you know, doing our thing in Stardew. Trying to just get the grind done. Go somewhere and get more wood here pretty soon so that I can build stuff. Thanks. It's getting there. I'm pretty pleased with it, you know? Pretty happy with it. Thanks so. Thanks for the lurk too. Hanging out. Super chill night. Oh no, I should not be yawning this early. That's bad. If I'm yawning this early, I should probably go to bed soon. I don't want to because I want to like build stuff up tonight, but at the same time, Did I put all my coffee beans? While I have like time, check. No, okay. I bet you I could use both of those, but no coffee beans in here. Okay, we're gonna go sell. Oh. Reshuffling. Okay. Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna throw the goat cheese in the mail in there because we just don't need that much. Oh no. That is bad news. I should not be yawning that much. It's too early for that. What's going on here? It is technically time for my bio break. I might just need to go like put myself to bed, my real humanoid self. Oh no. Carp surprise! Woo! Oh boy. Oh no. Okay. Okay. Really quick. I'm gonna do this. And we're gonna do a BRB because I'm getting like weirdly very sleepy. That's not what I meant to do. But here on the channel, if one person needs to pull the car over in order to use the bathroom, that means everybody has to pull the car over and use the bathroom. So go pee, get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, go get your wiggles out. do whatever you need to do. In the meantime, I'm gonna play some of this lo-fi. You can just hang out and enjoy that. And we're gonna be back in about 5 minutes. I'm gonna decide whether or not I'm gonna keep going because I'm actually getting sleepy already. And oh no, if I'm getting sleepy, I need to sleep. That's my big thing. Anyway, I'll see you back here in 5. Okay. Go take care of things. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Still yawning. But okay, we're gonna play at least one more day before we decide to call it a night. Alrighty. Homesteader. Wait, what? Achievement? What? Homesteader. Oh. Moving up, upgrade your house. Oh, interesting. Okay. Good to know. Oh no. Okay, there's one small bean. Okay, the chickens are getting enough from these. Okay. It's too hot. It's too hot to drink. I got it. I got the other picture. I got it. Ha! You win. Okay. Pet. Oh, we got some goat milk. All right, other goat. Got more goat milk. Feeling good about it. Feeling very good. Alrighty. Whew. Let's go ferment some stuff. Just before I forget. Whack those. Pretty good? Alright. Okay, there we go. Three iridium milks. And a gold star goat milk. Oh my goodness. It's like my goats actually like me or something. What's happening here? What kind of insanity? Letters. Huh? Okay, I've gotta get stuff watered real quick, and then like noonish, I have to head to town to talk to humans and give gifts. But I cannot push this past noon because that's when things get hairy. That's where everybody's out and doing stuff. So we're gonna wait till noon when everybody's out, and then that's where we're gonna be like, I gotta go do stuff, gotta go talk to people. Got people to see, things to do. I mean, one can only do so much work on the farm, you know. We gotta do the social aspect of this, I guess. Train passing through. Nope. I'm slipped there. Oh, okay. Gotta stop this. Gotta go get stuff. And talk to our humans. What was the other thing? Oh, yeah. Okay. Don't know what we're given. Might be just coffee and we might just do coffee and wine. And that's okay. Okay, hang on. Really quick. On Monday, shopping at Pierre's for Leah, and then Harvey at the fountain. So we'll go here really quick. Give Harvey a cup of coffee. Nope. Go. Okay, she should be at Pierre's. Might not be able to give her things while she's in here. Okay, cool. Talk. Some wild fruits this morning. That's cool. I like that. That's awesome. Okay. Talking. It's okay to get a moderate amount of sunlight. Just don't get burnt. Listen, we had this conversation last time. Like, you tried to talk to me about, like, not getting burnt. You realize that I am a redhead. I have a 15-minute burn time. He keeps explaining this to me like I don't know. Okay, water time. That's all done, that's all done, that's all done. Here we go. Whoop. Oops. Oh, okay. I definitely need to do some off-stream grinding because... Oof. Sleepy. Not gonna do hard events though, if I can avoid it. I need to write down when hard events occur with both of these guys so that I don't get those off-stream on accident. Whoops. Oh no. Oh dear. Yeah, the sleepies are hitting hard tonight. Normally I would be like, yeah, we're gonna be up. We're gonna stop at like 12 because that's how late we're gonna be up. Nope. Tonight I'm just like, huh? Huh? Oh. Uh-oh. Okay, sorry. confused. Zoe is confused. Oh! Whoop. Whoopsies. There we go. Um... $5,550. Shoot, so close. This isn't a fruit tree, right? Oh, mahogany tree. Hmm? Oh. Interesting. Okay. I'm not gonna chop down the mahogany trees just yet, because of reasons. Okay, there we go. Ooh, don't wanna... Nope. Alright. Oh, jeez. Okay. I feel like I need to fill up the rest of these spots with trees because trees take so freaking long. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm actually gonna throw the mahogany seeds over here. I'm just gonna start some of these growing so that the ones that can will. Oh, I have so many pine cones. Okay, don't have a lot of fruit trees, but I'm just gonna plant all of the pine cones before bed because too close to a fruit tree. Okay, fine. Just gonna plant so many things.
plant all the things because I need so many trees apparently. There we go. Okay, gonna count that as a win. Could just planted like a heck ton of stuff. Okay, gonna put my character to sleep. Have not played much tonight. I gotta go to bed. Like it's one of those nights where I am just high has the heckin' sleepies. So, oh boy. All right. Well, we'll have to, I guess, dig some of those out. But I too sleepy tonight. I am apparently very, very sleepy. So I am going to save this here. I go to heck and sleep. This is way earlier than I normally quit streams, but it's one of those nights. So if you are here, thank you so much if you stuck around during the raid. Oh, I didn't even see that Street cheered bits. Oh, hi, I love you. Okay, bye. Okay, hi, bye, the Street. Love you too. Thanks for sticking around tonight. I'm probably not gonna hi. Oh, thank you so much for hanging out tonight. Yeah, I'm just gonna go to bed. I don't can we raid somebody? Who am I following that's still even awake? There's Jinxie, but I don't know what she's doing tonight. Slightly confused. Anyway, I think I am just gonna I'm gonna kill it so that I can just go to sleep because thank you so much for hanging out tonight, and thank you so much for just being here. We're gonna be back tomorrow night at 11 p.m. Pacific for some Pokemon. Not sure if it's gonna be Pokemon Unite or if we're gonna do Pokemon Shield or Pokemon Snap. I'm gonna figure it out. For now, I'm gonna go to sleep. What is this? All right. Have an amazing evening. See you later.